Alright, hey everyone, I'm Ifaz and I'm the project manager for the PCB Design and Soldering Guided Build. So the goal of this guided build was to learn the basics of PCB design. So that was going from a circuit diagram to a schematic, and then from there to creating an actual PCB design that we could then manufacture and solder components on to create a completed circuit board. And so to start that off, we went into using Eagle and creating schematics there. So first off, we just learned the basics of using Eagle. So navigating the basic schematic overlay, adding parts, and kind of connecting all our parts together. So we started off by doing these basic, going from these basic circuit diagrams into creating our schematics. Here was like a little demonstration video I have. So we just put our parts into a schematic, and then going through all these parts, making sure we have the right footprints, and then we just kind of went back and forth between the circuit diagrams, adding all our parts together and creating all our connections. And here you can see that I kind of went over some cool tips and tricks. Like here we have the labeling trick where we just label parts together and it connects them together. And then from there, we just went and made our circuit. And then the whole goal of this was just for them to get some practice creating our circuits, as well as familiarizing themselves with the workspace of Eagle. After this, we went into creating our final schematic. So this is what we use for what we were going to use for our final PCB. So we went from a complex circuit diagram into making this cool schematic that we then use for our PCB design. So then on week 2, we went into using Eagle's PCB design software. So we learned how to manipulate parts within there, creating all our traces. Here's another, here are our designs that we use. So these are designs that we created the previous week from our circuit diagrams. And so from these schematics, we were able to create our PCB design. So here's another video. We just took all our parts, placed them into our workspace, arranged them in a way that we saw fit, that made like the most sense for what we were doing. And then we created our traces to create the electrical connections between components. And then from there, we just went over the different ways that they work, as well as the different things you need to do whenever you're connecting. Like here we have, when you have to cross a wire, you could create a via. And we also learned some other cool tips and tricks just to like get that running for if they actually wanted to go into PCB design. So yeah, and then from there, we took our schematic from the previous week of our final PCB, and everyone created their cool PCB designs. So here's just like some of the PCB designs we made. And then these designs, we got our Gerber files and we actually had them manufactured and sent to our members. And so week 3, this is where we learned how to solder. So that way, when we actually got to it, we'd be able to solder all our components on. So we went over the basics of soldering, as well as some safety rules, as well as what soldering is. And then we also went into programming the microcontroller that would actually control our PCB. So this was the ATtiny85. We learned how to program it, as well as all the code that we would need to make our actual PCB. And then week 4, this hasn't happened yet because of shipping delays, but this is where we will be doing some actual soldering practice. So we would practice on some perf board to get our soldering quality right. And then in the end, what we'll do is everyone will solder their components on, and what they should get is a cool little LED matrix PCB controlled by the ATtiny85, and they would switch it on and a message would kind of slide across the LED matrix. And so the whole goal of this was just to get some practice with PCB design and have something cool that they could keep and show off as something that they actually made. Yeah, thanks for listening.